Hey guys, Lube here. I just thought I'd take a quick break from putting out a first-person shooter video or a shooter video every week to talk to you a little bit about SimCity. Now, it's been a month since SimCity has been released, and I thought I'd just take a moment to sort of go over what has happened during the month since it's come out, some of the things that have been added to the game, some of the things they fixed, and some of the things that are still broken or bafflingly are part of the design. So starting off, I'm going to talk about the things I do like about SimCity before I get into talking about the things that I don't like. Basically, the only thing I like is that the graphics and the presentation of SimCity are really nice. There's still an issue with roads kind of clipping into the environment when you're pulled back all the way that really bugs me. But other than that, it is a really nice looking game. Just being able to look across the region and see all the other cities in the distance, especially at night when you can kind of see the glow coming off of them, is really, really neat looking, and it's really well done. The music is also really nice as well. Kind of like how they layer on different tracks as you can move the camera back and forward, and the music becomes more complex or less complex depending on the level of zoom you have. So now that I've covered my extensive list of things I like about the game, let's get into the things I don't like or haven't been fixed or what have you. So the biggest issue is cheetah speed still does not exist within the game. Maxis disabled this right after launch to kind of alleviate some of the problems it was causing on the server side or something. I'm not still entirely sure why they removed it. They just removed it to make the game run, which is kind of hilarious. There is word that it is being implemented into some of the servers. I know, for example, that the test server has it back, and apparently EU West 2 and EU East have gotten it. I guess those are servers that aren't exactly that busy, but removing cheetah speed really, really bogs down the game. It just exemplifies how boring this game is at some points. If you can't fast forward your city's progress and you're just stuck watching it at a llama speed, it goes pretty slow, and just watching buildings pop up and not really doing anything, I don't know. Cheetah speed has always existed in SimCity, and the fact that they had to remove it to even get the game to work is kind of hilarious. So the game had a lot of server issues in the beginning. Those have mostly been alleviated, but there are still some issues with logging on or getting booted off, and Maxis is constantly taking servers offline and stuff to roll out updates and everything. So that's still a problem. One of the biggest issues I had with the game was the UI is not helpful at all. I had an issue where my city was telling me to build more high-wealth residential because apparently my high-wealth commercial needed more shoppers. But what it didn't tell me is that it needed more high-wealth residential from the region, not my specific city. I was having a real problem trying to figure out what they meant, because I have a lot of high-wealth residential zones, because if you plonk down amphitheaters, it basically counts as something that draws high wealth sims to the region. So I had a bunch of amphitheaters everywhere, and so I had a bunch of high wealth residential, and apparently I didn't have enough. But what the game was actually trying to tell me is that my region didn't have enough, so that would have been helpful. One of the most hilarious things about the game is the fact that your city's population is faked to a large degree. Say if you have, like, I don't know, 1 million citizens, then probably only half of that will actually be real sims in your city. The rest of it is made up by the game to inflate your population. The command to get this number is actually called get fudged population. Probably the biggest issue with the game is that everything in the game, whether it's sewage, power, water, even the Sims themselves, are called agents, and those agents basically don't function. You may have heard that Sims don't actually have a set residence or a set job. They'll just go into whatever first slot they find. So a Sim could be a low-wealth industrial worker one day and a high-wealth commercial worker the next day. There's no actual simulation here. You can make a town that's purely residential with one street and still have it be successful. This basically means that the residential, commercial, industrial system that they've set up in SimCity is basically useless if you can just make a city composed entirely of one type of zone. I had an issue where, and this is where the stuff with the agents first became clear to me, is I had an issue with, I had 2 sewage outflow pipes, and I had to manage one and the other, turning them off and turning them back on to get them to work properly. because if one was open, all the sewage agents would go to the nearest available one instead of splitting the job evenly between the two, which means that while I was saving up for a sewage treatment plant, I had to metagame my 2 sewage outflow pipes to make sure they both didn't overflow. One thing that I didn't think would be an issue, but kind of caught me by surprise, is the fact that cities are way too small. I'm kind of surprised that Max has thought that this would be enough, because you can fill up your city after like 3 or 4 hours of play. So I guess the idea is to have you managing multiple cities, but I don't know. If you can fill up a city, even multiple cities, after 3 or 4 hours each, and then they kind of stagnate from there, probably not the best way to handle this. And if you look out the region, you can see that there are like huge tracts of lands where there's nothing going on. I find it hard to believe that they can't increase the city size, especially given their assertion that most of the simulation, or the finger quote simulation, is handled server side. Finally, the regions, well, they might add a certain something to the visual presentation of the game, don't really work. The idea is to sort of have all the cities in a region cooperate with each other. Say one city handles power, one city is a gambling city that draws in a lot of tourists, but it doesn't really seem to work. I've been buying power from all the other cities, but in my region, and I'm playing with some friends that I run a gaming hobby website with, and apparently they have seen no money change hands despite the fact that I'm buying power from them. Apparently I'm also selling them garbage disposal. I've never seen any money from that. There's just a whole bunch of functionality that's supposed to come with the regions that it doesn't seem like they're pulling off that well. Like I said, it's nice in theory. Basically, this is SimCity, the MMO, but like most things in the game, it hasn't really achieved a level of polish that I would even deem fit for a beta release. Currently, it feels like we're alpha testing SimCity for Maxis, which, considering that I paid full price for this game, is kind of a slap to the face. So that's my thoughts 1 month out from SimCity. This is definitely one of the most disappointing games I've ever played in my entire life. After making this video, I doubt that I'll even go back to the game unless it is patched to such a degree that the simulation actually becomes real. They fix the problem with the agents. Regions actually start working together. There are no server issues. Cities are bigger. There's just a whole laundry list of problems that prevents me from enjoying this game. So that's what I thought about SimCity. After Assassin's Creed 3, I didn't think any game would let me down that much, but, well, it's nice to know that I can be wrong. So what do you guys think about SimCity? Let me know.